本物の質感、本物の迫力、そして躍動する筋肉。これは映画ではない、目の前の現実だ。映画を超えた迫力、リアルアクション、ゴジラ対デストロイヤー。
From beyond the stars come the most fearsome monsters in the galaxy. Only Godzilla stands in their way in Godzilla on Monster Island.
Today on Collect All Monsters, we are stomping on the rewind button and taking you back in time with us to the annual kaiju convention, GFest. Ikimashou!
Get the X Plus Godzilla vinyl figures now at Flossie'sGifts.com. Don't let the cute name fool you.
Hey, and welcome to our second episode of Collect All Monsters. And you know what they say, it's a live show, so like anything can happen. My name is Kyle, and anything just happened. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as well. It was not stressful at all. My name is Kyle. I used to host the Kaiju Cast, and now I'm hosting Collect All Monsters, this wonderful show about collecting kaiju toys and other cool stuff from Japan and beyond. And directly to this direction, which is backwards for me, is my good buddy David Dopko. Hey, what's up, dude?
How's it going, everybody? I'm glad everybody's here to watch our... Actually, no, this is our first episode because last one was episode 0. So Thank you for tuning into our first episode. And here on my right, I think it's my right, is the lovely Christine Chapin. How are you today, Christine?
Hi, I'm really excited that I can join this time. And I can't wait to talk about toys. And how you doing, John?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Christine. It's great to have you. This episode 1. It's good to be here. Thanks, guys. Welcome to everyone. And Leslie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Collect All Monsters. You're in for a fun-filled time. You know what? That's going to be like a staple moving forward. It's going to be a fun show, and this show is going to be no different. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to kick it back over to Kyle.
So what we want to do at the beginning of every episode is update the viewers on if we've done anything recently. And David, you and I have recently completed a brand new video for the Collect All Monsters channel. It's not, one of these live stream discussions, but we sort of used the technology available to us. And we did a review for... Take it away, man.
We did a review for the Bandai Premium King Ghidorah set, which comes with I shouldn't really say what it comes with. You should probably go back and watch it. You still can. Is that right, Kyle?
That's absolutely right, Dave. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And hopefully we will definitely be doing a number of those in between our live episodes to sort of bridge the time that we don't see one another, because we'd love to see our viewers and help our viewers learn about these awesome toys. So yes, indeed.
Now joining us with a very seriously, how cool is it that Christine is here? But we have an announcement from our lady kaiju collector here. Go ahead and tell everybody what's happening with you these days.
Thankfully I have my sister's house to use to live stream with you guys. And I did just do a video, I think, earlier this week about a really cool set that I got, a Marmit Goji, and a new sculpt that one of my friends in Singapore created, the Detsu Ultimatum. Really cool pieces. I'm really a fan of his work, and he has another really cool Safubi that he's coming out with that I'm really excited to see. But I did do a little review on that piece that please go check out and support his work, because it's a really cool figure. It's something that's different, and I really enjoyed talking about it.
Looking forward to it.
you had a video too, right?
Yeah, Leslie, what's going on with you these days?
I actually, you know what? To be honest, I've been kind of sick, so I've been kind of like slow with the videos. I think the last video I did was like the last day of last year, where I documented everything I got X Plus wise in the year, my X Plus haul, if you will. So for the past like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been kind of dealing with the flu, so I've been kind of like slow with getting videos out, but I am going to be getting back into the thick of things. You know what I'm saying? I am going to be doing, just for those who are interested, the 25 centimeter Rick exclusive edition of Rodan 1956. Of course, 30 centimeter Baragon 1966. I'm slow on that guy. I got him last year in August, and I've not reviewed him, but he's coming. And also got me a few of those Toho special effects authentic books that you can get from the Godzilla store. Thank you to Jason Whelan from awesomecollector.com. He hooked me up with a few of those books, and I'll be doing like a couple books videos. So at the time of recording, I got like maybe 18 of them. So expect 9 videos.
Nice.
Books of 2004 Godzilla, 74 Mecha Godzilla, 54 Godzilla. So lots of stuff is coming on the channel on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews, and yeah, that's what I got planned on my channel for the foreseeable future.
That is stupid awesome, man. I love those books. Those books are like, you can't get anything as good for like under $12 in Japan.
Exactly. And the fact that you can only get them from the Godzilla store makes it even that much more special. Of course, you can, if you can navigate the site yourself, you can get them. Otherwise, you have to find like a middleman. I strongly would not suggest going the eBay route, because on eBay they're like $30 a pop, but you have to pay shipping on top of that. So if you know somebody that can navigate the site for you, I suggest going that way. But they're well worth the investment. It's like watching. It's a pristine picture book with crisp pictures, backstage photos, never before seen photos. It's like a Blu-ray but in book form. That's how perfect the pictures are. But you'll see that once I get these videos up and running of these books. They're really awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome. And those of us who were lucky enough to have a Kinokuniya bookstore near us in our city, over the summer, we were able to purchase them directly from the bookstore and those little mini Godzilla pop-ups that happened over the summer. And yeah, so that's a way that some of us were able to get them over the summer. But yeah, it's they're great little books, and I definitely need to add some more to my collection.
Yeah, I think for me, the best part about them is because they're so cheap, you can sort of pick and choose. It's like, and they don't look like from the side, when they're on your shelf, they don't look like they are a collection of books. They don't have like cool spines or anything like that. So some of them have actually been a little lackluster, in my opinion. The GMK book I purchased, and I was kind of disappointed at how not crisp everything was. So just a heads up, Leslie, when you go for that book, you're going to see a quality change.
Interesting.
I got it. And you know what? I love the book. I mean, every single one of them that I got, I love. And of course, like you said, not every picture is like the best, but a good majority of them are. And for like $12, you still get, a good bang for your buck, especially when it covers your favorite kaiju, So,
Totally.
So it's worth the investment. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather you go after them than not go after them, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. So I think it's a good time to do something we failed to do in our last live broadcast, which was check in on the people who are watching live, check in on the chat, basically. So just super fast, I wanted to do what Leslie does, give a shout out to Kaiju Battle, over 9,000, Godzilla Train 1090, Altiran Kaiju, Ken Hall, Kaiju Cast listener, I recognize his name, is in there. Albert Escobedo is in there. Tim Outen, Eric Pearl, Phil the Kaiju King. Giuseppe is in there as well. Larry Latham, Greg Betters, Alex Sawyer. Man, we've got a good group here. Dell's in there.
Hey, Dell.
What's up, Dell?
Oh, no.
All right, I'm having some technical difficulties right now. I can't hear anything again.
Oh, man.
I'm going to pop out for a second, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
So while that happens, let's actually just use this opportunity to tell everybody that this is a weird time to start a show. We're starting this show in winter. And so just right off the bat, we've got people who are feeling a little sick and people who might be going out of town. And so, we've got our own struggles to deal with, but we wanted to make sure that the show happened. And so that is why Christine is joining us this time. And it's really awesome that she's able to join us. I say this, of course, hoping that she's going to come back and be able to do her segments and so forth. But this is the live show. And thank you guys for watching live. It's really, really fun to do this stuff. By the way, we were given shout outs. Oh, except we didn't give a shout out to Mike Cherkowski or James Hartman. I didn't see James Hartman in the chat. I'm sure he's in there.
He better be in there.
That's a lot of scrolling that has to be in there. Kaiju Bait is in there if I didn't say that. Anyway.
I know Mike said he was going to try to tune in, so I'm glad he's here with us.
Yeah. James said #crying. So Liam's in there as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, like I was saying, we are going to go ahead and move on to what the meat of this episode is all about, which is, as soon as I add Christine back here, GFest.
I'm sorry.
No problem. We are talking about GFest. GFest. What is GFest, Dave?
GFest is I like to call it Christmas in July, because to us kaiju fans and toy collectors, it's basically Christmas in July. And I'm kidding. It's actually a huge, amazing convention of Godzilla fans from all over the country and even all over the world. We have guests come from Japan and from China and from Korea and all over the place. So it's just an amazing festival started by J.D. Lees and a bunch of other awesome guys. Kind of who else started?
Oh my gosh.
Stan Hyde.
I mean, basically the crew that I know is like Stan Hyde, Jeff Horn, Martin Arlt, J.D. Lees. The problem is I don't want to say everybody's names because I don't want everybody to be mad at me again. I already got the chat room messed up.
No. Of course not. But we just wanted to get an idea of who is behind, like a couple of the faces that we still see at GFest that started the whole thing. It's just a lot of fun. And honestly, the people that I've met there are like incredible. All of you guys, we met briefly online, but to meet in person at GFest is just, it takes it to another level. So it's just a really, really awesome experience. And if you haven't been, I really recommend that you just maybe don't buy that one expensive toy and come on out there for a couple days and say, hey, and hang out with us. So how about you, John? What do you think of GFest and of your experiences?
Oh, GFest, like you said, it's like Christmas in July. It is the date on the calendar that we all, those few days are always checked reserved. GFest for me started actually with Kaiju Con back in 1996 in New York. So for a number of years, I wasn't able to attend until 2016, until last year. So it's always now like the pinnacle of the summer. I look forward to it. How about you, Christine?
I love GFest. So like Kyle and David said, my favorite part is being able to be with everyone, because it's the one time of year, it's like a giant family reunion, and it's the one time we all get to like nerd out and buy toys together. And I love being able to help people find, like that one figure that's been on their list that they've been looking for a while. And it's so great to see the special guests that come. They always have incredible special guests every year. And that's always really exciting to get your autographs and photos with them. And all the toys, of course. Like there's unlimited options for figures to buy at GFest, which is great. What about you, Leslie?
I'm gonna echo what you just said. That it's like a giant family reunion. GFest is awesome. I think I speak for everybody, and of course I said this millions of times, that if you're a Godzilla fan, you owe it to yourself to go to GFest at least once. At least once. And I guarantee you, once you go, it will not be your last. And since I've been a Godzilla fan, since I've known about GFest, I never put it in my mind that I will be able to go, because I know it is a rather expensive undertaking somewhat. It's kind of like going on vacation. You know what I'm saying? But I want to give a huge shout out to my wife, Sandra. Love you. Without her, my GFest experiences would never happen. And she actually came to me with this. She was like, hey, I know you love Godzilla. I know you want to go to this GFest thing. I was like, yeah, I do. And she was like, well, let's put forth the effort. Let's set aside a budget. And she started booking the room and getting information on flights, whatever. And she's been doing that ever since we've been going. This year will mark our 6th time going. We've been going ever since 2015. And each year, it keeps getting better and better and better. And for me, yes, it's fun to see the panels, the celebrities, especially the dealer's room. But for me, it's more so about the people, the friends that I've made online, that you get to see them probably once a year, if you don't see them outside of that. So just the GFest is special on so many different levels. And I highly recommend everybody to go. I know it's expensive, like I said, but start saving right now. Start saving after the GFest is over. But once you go, like I said, you will have a wonderful time, and it will not be your last. Trust me when I say that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. We're going to kind of just migrate into that next question because Leslie sort of just hit it on the head there. How many times have we been to GFest? So I was able to go in 1999. That was my very first time going, and I was broke as a joke just in general at that time in my life. So I went in 1999, and then when I started the podcast in 2009, so I had a big 10-year gap between my first and my second show. And then even after that, I had like a 3-year gap. I didn't go back until 2012, but that was pretty much what sealed the deal for me. I went, actually, you know what? This would probably be a great time for me to share just a few of the photos that I have from my times at GFest by using this fancy screen share guy. So basically there is hang on one sec. There's I don't have a big story about it, but basically I went to GFest back when I was freshly married, freshly had a kid, and decided to myself, you know what? I think I need to do this. I think I need to go to the Godzilla convention, right? And so I took my wife and my 1-year-old kid to GFest with me. And a lot of people probably can recall the very first time I went to GFest, because Tiger, my kid at the time, was actually, we put him in a costume. And so he was dressed up as Ghidorah because he wasn't walking yet.
That's awesome.
And
Adorable.
we did that not thinking that it would, like, anybody was going to be like enthralled with it, but basically that was my introduction to GFest. And this is a scan of Hobby Japan magazine. They had a 2-page spread about GFest, and not only is Tiger in 2 of those photos in his Ghidorah costume. If you look at the top left photo, that's that long-haired hippie with 1 tattoo on his arm is me.
Wow. That's awesome.
So anyway, that I went on a little too long about that, but basically that was 99. And then in 2009, I was really lucky because like I said, just started the podcast, and I was able to interview Kenji Sahara.
Wow.
And, I gotta throw a shout out to August Rigoni for actually helping organize that, because that was definitely my very first celebrity interview.
Terrific.
And then in 2012, I went back and talked my way into getting a live podcast panel. And so we did, like, I think it was like the Art of Monsters or something like that. And I had Bob Eggleton, Jeff Zorno, and Matt Frank on there. Look at that baby Matt Frank in that photo, by the way. I mean, basically, he's so young in that picture. But when I did the live panel, like, look, it was packed. We had so many people for the live podcast that I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this over and over again. I also was very pleased because I was able to interview Akira Takarada. It was a complete surprise. I've told this on the podcast before, but right after the live Kaiju cast, Brett Hominick came in with Takarada, and because I had all my equipment set up already, Brett was like, "Hey, do you want to just interview Takarada?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." And so I was able to have my second celebrity interview there. Then I did.
That's great.
I did a panel the following year called The Sound of Monsters, and what ended up happening is one of my listeners, Charlie, he made this banner for me. He actually made, I think, a banner the previous year too, or something. It was pretty awesome. But basically, I've had so many amazing opportunities. I met Koichi Kawakita in 2014, was able to interview him. A lot of my memories are also tied into the interviews that I've done, the panels that I've done. This is actually when we were doing live vocal readings of comic books. David, you were on one of those with me.
I was indeed.
And then David, speaking of you, you were on the Hail to the King Q&A when we screened the movie, the documentary at GFest in 2015.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
There's the screening room, and then that's everybody watching it. 2017, this is another highlight for me when I was able to take and earlier in the year, in January, I was able to take my first group of Kaiju Cast listeners to Japan. And so this was the first time we had gotten back together again. That's minus a couple of people, but that was everybody who came to G-Fest that year. And it is all about the people, really. And then in 2017, I also won a Hall of Fame.
Yay. Well deserved.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. And also, I didn't know how to act. But another highlight from 2017. I got to interview Shinji Higuchi, director of Shin Godzilla and special effects director of so many movies I love. Yuji Kaito was also there that year. By the way, look how freaky I look. I am like completely out of my mind with happiness to meet Yuji Kaito. Anyway, and then of course, G-Fantas is always classic as well. And then I was able to interview Megumi Odaka. The listener parties are always super fun. This is a bunch of photos from the Kaiju Cast listener parties. And even meeting, I know I wanted to bring this up. So Keizo Murase had sort of come back into the spotlight. Keizo Murase is the guy in the blue suit here, blue jacket, I should say, who made Godzilla suits, kaiju suits in the Showa era. And so basically we found out about him and I immediately was like, dude, G-Fest has to get this guy. And that same year they got him. And so meeting him in 2018 was amazing. Also interviewing Satsuma that same year. And then that last year, highlight of the show, Collect All Monsters kicking off essentially. We shot a whole bunch of stuff and did a whole bunch of rad things at the 2019 show, and so that essentially is why we are talking about this stuff here. So that's my G-Fest. That's my G-Fest times. That's how many times I've been to G-Fest. It's I think 10 now.
Wow.
David, how about you?
Well, not quite as many as you, but I do remember going to G-Con in New York City in 1996, right before we moved to the Bay Area, and I went in there with the sole purpose of going over to Steve Agen's table and picking up a Bandai 1962 Godzilla figure with a tag because he told me he was going to bring it there. So I basically and stupidly went in, found the dealer's room or the dealer's section. It wasn't really a room back then, right, John? It was kind of small. Right. Grabbed the figure and left. So that's kind of lame. And then fast forward to 2014. This is right when I really started talking to a lot of you guys on the internet about Godzilla toys and collecting. And we discovered the X Plus group. And Kyle and I had already met at the famous Cheesecake Factory in Seattle, and the rest is history, whatever. Enough sodium for a week in one meal, but that's another story. Anyway, I decided to go. Rich Iso was the one that actually convinced me to go. And I went, and I'll tell you what, I was hooked ever since. And meeting you guys, many of you guys, for the first time, I thought would be a little strange and awkward. It really wasn't. It was just like we'd known each other forever. So that's the kind of thing that happens when you go, because we're all really on the same page. And for many, many years, I had been the only one to be able to talk about this stuff with just a very select few, and to have a whole convention full of like-minded people, it's pretty awesome and awe-inspiring. So, Kyle, is this when we're going to show our memories, or we can do that later?
Yeah, man. If you want, well, yeah, because I think we do our memories here.
Sure. So basically, my first, I had to narrow it down to 3 main memories. Number one, it's my photos, Kyle, 1 through 3. It's actually the GFest where we went to the Symphonic Fury concert, which was, again, just, you know, one of the high points of any GFest, the very first one. And Chris Olio and John DeSantis put on a spectacular show, complete with all of our favorite, you know, Yves Courbet music. And just sitting in that theater with my friends and fellow collectors and fans, listening to the music that I've been listening to since I was a kid, since I used to record on my father's tape recorder, hearing it played live at a concert setting, I can't tell you how amazing that felt. So yeah, so that, and then I also showed some pictures of number 2 inside the theater and how amazing that was. And of course, that was at the Great Pickwick Theater. I can't remember what the name of the little area of Chicago that was, but it's a great sort of vintage style theater. And then the third picture is actually John in the midst of doing what he does best. And then, so yeah, that's my very first favorite GFest memory. Number 2, which is but my second memory, which is photo number 4, was started when I got off the plane at Chicago O'Hare, and I got on that shuttle bus to go to Crowne Plaza. And on the shuttle bus was a section in the back, sitting quietly in the back, of the Japanese guests. And I was like, I think that's Katsura from Godzilla, Terror of Mechagodzilla. And I was like so shy, and I didn't want to bother her, interrupt her, or disturb her in any way. But it is me. So I ended up going over to her and said, I'm sorry to bother you, but I would love it if I could take your photograph. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't look so good right now, but I promise when we get to the show, I'll let you take a photograph. And I said, okay, fair enough, no problem. And, you know, I said, you know, welcome to the USA. I hope you have a good time. Went back, met all the guys. The festival went on, and I think it was day 2 where she had her panel in one of the main ballrooms. And I'm sitting there patiently waiting for her to go up. She's coming up the side. She taps me on the shoulder, and she goes, hi, it's okay to take a photo now. And I was like, no way. She remembered that I wanted to take her photo, and she actually approached me so I could get that very photo right there. And it's just really, really special. And it's a great memory. How could that not be a great memory of my first GFest? So yeah, that's the kind of things that you guys are going to see when you go to GFest. So, and then my last memory is meeting these guys, my roommates, my wonderful friends, James and John. And, you know, these guys are like so awesome to me. We speak weekly, if not daily sometimes. And another thing that you guys will find when you meet people in person, we have a lot more in common than just these toys. We spend time together outside of GFest. We visit each other's homes. We went to John's wedding. It's just the friendships and bonds that you'll make at GFest are really, really special. And these guys are very special to me. So I have 1,000 more, but I wanted to keep it short. So let's pass it down to, or over to John Ruffin and some of his memories.
Thanks, David. Like you said, David, my memories and first experience with GFest was G-Con, or I'm not sure if it was called Kaiju Con back in '96. It had been only a couple of years. My friends and I had started driving up to New York City and in Jersey to go on a collectible run, and I heard about G-Con It might have been through GFan. Somehow I found out about it. I was like, I've got to go. It was 5 of us in a car, and I rented a car, a small little car, and we're trying to, we got to hit the New Yorker, and I couldn't stay long. We had made our rounds to a number of shops, but we had to be in and out. Parking is tough in New York City at that time. But I was able to go in, I think it was $10, and had to, go in quickly, come out. I can't believe we were there at the same time. And but on my way out, the greatest memory I have to be the first time at any type of Godzilla convention, or Haruo Nakajima-san and Satsuma-san were coming in as I was going out, and my friends didn't recognize them except my other Godzilla friend, Jonathan. My friend Jonathan. We both realized who they were, and we were like, "Oh my goodness!" And just to be able to say hello to them, and on the way out, it was awesome. It made that first greatest memory at G-Con. And then I wouldn't return, kind of similarly maybe to you, Kyle, more than 20 years. It was actually 20 years later. I think 2015, 2016, and I've gone now the last 4 years. But what's been interesting, on 2 occasions last year in 2016, I had scheduled other trips, one for work, and then I had then I would go to Japan and then come to GFest, or go to GFest, then go to Japan, and then go somewhere for work. So a couple occasions, 2016, I went to see Shin Godzilla, and on my way home, it was time to come to GFest first, then to see Shin Godzilla. So each other and enjoy Godzilla, and then go see the movie. And I believe there was a G Tours going on at the same time. So those who would have been at GFest would have also, some of which were at Shin Godzilla premiere. So it was so cool to have that overlap. And then last year, on my way from Japan, I checked in, was able to come into GFest. And so those memories are really special to have a Godzilla kind of journey or trip. My favorite memories, and some of you have already shared this, is really seeing you guys and meeting those that I've talked to and that we talk to on Facebook or social media throughout the year, and then being able to put a name to a face. And the interview that I had with you, Leslie, it's been at least 3 years ago, maybe now 4 years ago. I've lost track. We did an interview, and that was wonderful. In the last few years, with Jeremy Souls of Summit Kaiju being on those panels, and then last year our Collect All Monsters panel. So they're the really special moments, and having that quiet time with each other, talking about Kaiju and Godzilla and all the things he loved. They're the best memories. They're the best times. So I've been to GFest about 5 times now. I've kind of lost track a little bit over the last few years. Christine, how about you? How many times have you been?
I've been to GFest 5 times so far. The first time I went was 2014. It was my birthday weekend. I was turning 30, and I was trying to think of, what do I want to do for my big 30? And I had been wanting to go to GFest for a couple years, and I was like, I'm going to GFest for my 30th birthday. And like you guys had said before, I had only met people online. Like, I had gotten into the Godzilla Collectors group and the X Plus Kaiju Collectors group probably like the year before. So I hadn't really met any other Godzilla fans in my area because I'm in the middle of nowhere. So being able to meet all of you online and then being able to meet all of you in person was fantastic. And I remember, like, at first I thought maybe it'd be kind of awkward because, it's different meeting people online and then in person. But it was just great how, like, instantly we all connected. And it was, like, no awkwardness or anything. It was, it's, like, definitely the people is the best part of the convention. I mean, you have the dealer's room and the panels and all that, but the community is the best part. So that was my first year, and that was like my starstruck year because that's when I got to meet Bob Eggleton for the first time. I've been a huge fan of him growing up since like middle school, and I was so starstruck to meet him and the special guest that we had that year. That was like crazy. 2015, I think that's when I first started helping out and working there. That's also a good memory to me. I love being able to help and assist at the tables and with the autograph sessions and all that. 2016 I missed, but the past 2 years have also been really special to me because I've been able to bring my little niece, Roslyn. I got her into Godzilla. So 2018 was her first year. She came with me and my sister Amanda. And being able to share that experience with them was really special because my niece, she loves watching the Godzilla movies with me, and my sister Amanda, she grew up watching the films with me as well. So just to see like the excitement on my niece's face to like see all the figures.
You mean that face?
Oh yes, and look how cute! Oh my gosh, she's so cool. And she had so much fun. And there was like other kids who were playing with there, and I like that she has her own memories. So every year now she likes to hang out with Julia, that's her friend, and she likes to go play on the patio. And being able to get the exclusives for her was really cool too. That's like a special memory from her first GFest. And actually 2018 also a good memory I have is we had Satsuma and Megumi as guests that year, and I think that might be the first time in the US I think that they appeared at a convention together. So that was pretty monumental because I am a big Heisei fan, so I like, Byagoji is my favorite, and so Satsuma played my favorite Godzilla for the series, the 90s Godzilla. So to have him there along with Megumi, who she's definitely, I had a crush on her. She was my woman crush from the movies. And to be able to watch the bond between Mickey and Godzilla grow over those films and then to have them there together, like that's monumental. That's huge. I was so excited for that, and I would love to have them back again. And probably my last memory would be, I don't know if I already touched on it, but working at M1's table, that has been like a dream come true because I am a huge fan of their work. Yuji and Michi are so sweet, and their figures are just so popular, and the colors they have, the sculpts, it's like they're like definitely one of my top favorite online to collect, and they're just sweethearts, and I love hearing their stories, and it's so great to have them to be able to come and the fans can meet them. And I always like picking up some of the cool special things that they bring along with them to the show. What about
employee perks?
Yeah. Okay, not just for me. No, I don't like to do that. I like to, try to, unless it's like something really cool, then maybe. But no, it's really great being able to work for them, and then for the special guests, and then they're at the autograph tables and all that. It's just, oh my gosh, it's like I have dreamed about meeting these people like since I was little, and to be able to have all of these things happen, like going to GFest and then meeting them and then being able to work for them, it's like it's kind of unbelievable to me because I'm like, here little like 12-year-old Christine way back in the day, I would draw pictures of Godzilla and hang them up everywhere, and now dreaming about meeting Nakajima, and then here I am like sitting with them and talking with them and being able to see them get their autographs. Like that's one of the great things about GFest is like it makes dreams come true. I know that sounds really cheesy, but like literally like it made my dreams come true.
No, we totally get it.
Yeah, it's just, oh god, I can't even describe like the feeling. Like you need, like I think some of you said before, like you need to go. Like once you go once, you gotta go every year. Like you just can't miss it. It's so great being around everybody. We just have so much fun, and then you get like those certain people, like David said, that you really bond with, and it's just so great to be able to see everybody.
Absolutely.
What about you, Leslie? What your GFest memories?
almost every moment at GFest is like my favorite memory. A couple of them do stick out, though. I have to say, I think nothing can top your first GFest, in my opinion. Going there for the first time, in my case, once again, got to give a huge shout out to Sandra, because without her, it doesn't happen. I love you. Thank you so much. And we kind of make it like our annual, like part one of our vacations where we go pretty much every year. We go to Chicago and we go on cruises. So going there for the first time, I knew I was going to have fun, but I had no idea I would have that much fun. Just seeing the people, seeing the dealer's room, seeing the panel, seeing your friends. It's just one good thing kept happening right after another. So it's really kind of hard to put into words, but it's a great feeling to go there and see like-minded people that love the same things that you love. It's even also more of a treat for me because my YouTube channel, every now and then somebody would come up to me randomly every now and then and say, "Hey, you Leslie P. Chambers, right?" Sometimes I'll be like, "What? Whoa! Don't walk up on me like that." because I'm not really used to that, especially around here. But to get that admiration from people is really, really cool. Of course, meeting people that I've gotten some really, really good stuff from, like Giuseppe. He's in the chat right now. He's giving me some great, awesome images, and he's not only shared his images with me, he's also given some free stuff to my family, because I incorporate my family into my videos sometimes. So to see that much love from just random people that you meet is really, really cool. And I have to say, two memories that stick out in my mind the most. First and foremost, this happened just last year, this last GFest. Shusuke Kaneko was there. And of course, he directed the awesome GMK, and he also directed the awesome Gamera Heisei films. So my wife and I and our kids, we get there to the hotel right when GFest is happening, and we're looking to go into our room. And I don't want to speak bad about the Crown, but the Crown does have its issues. We all know that. So I don't want to, because that could be another podcast and discussion by itself.
We like to keep things positive here on this show.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk trash about the terrible hotel that GFest is at. Deal? Okay.
Yeah. So when we get there, we're looking to get into our room because we're tired from the flight. We want to get in, settle down, blah, blah, blah. And of course, we're told that it's not ready yet and to come back like 30 minutes later. And so we're going around talking with people. Then we go back 30 minutes later and kind of find out it's still not ready. So I'll talk with some folks, and Sandra comes around and meets up with me. And my wife at this point is animated. She's like, "I'm ready to get into this room. I am so ready to get into this room. And if they don't have this room ready, they're going to see the GMK come out of me." Because my wife's favorite Godzilla design and movie is GMK. What's so funny is, as she's saying this, Shusuke Kaneko happens to walk by, and he overhears this. So when he hears my wife saying the GMK gonna come out of me, no lie, he turns to her and he smiles and he walks off. I was like, "Oh my God, that was so great."
Priceless.
Oh my God, that was so great. So yeah, but after that, the room did get ready. But then my second favorite memory, I think it was the GFest before then, when Megumi Adaka was there, and of course Kenpachiro Satsuma was there, to replace Akira Takarada. And of course, I'm sitting there, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing the people go in there and get their photographs taken with the celebrities and get their pictures autographed or whatever. But sometimes those lines be so long, and sometimes I have a lot of stuff to do, so I don't have a chance to go up to them and talk to them. So what happened was, I'm sitting there talking with, I think it was Brutazilla, another YouTuber, a good friend of mine, in the hallway. This is like after the panels are over, like really early in the evening. Then all of a sudden, Kenpachiro Satsuma just walks by me. And I'm like, "Oh," I really got starstruck. Here I am, 6'1", 280 pounds, and I'm just like, I'm I'm like the guy off the Dr. Pepper commercial. Sweet. I was like, oh God. And I'm like, Brutezilla, should I say something to him? Because I don't want to bother these people when they're on their downtime. Because sometimes, even though they're walking, amongst us people, sometimes they may not be in the mindset to be talking with folks since they've been talking with folks all day, right? But I was like, okay, I'll just walk up to him. I'm going to be as nice and polite as I can. And I said, and mind you, he's shorter than me. So I'm like, wait a minute, you portrayed the most awesome Godzilla. It's kind of hard, but still, he was there. He was right there. And I walked up to him and said, sir, Mr. Satsuma, I apologize for bothering you back on your downtime. But let me just say, I love your work. I love what you've done. My favorite film is Godzilla King Ghidorah. He was like, ooh, King Ghidorah. And he shook my hand. He was like, thank you. And he walked off. So that was a great, great memory for me. Because at that point, I didn't know what to say to him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what to say. Hey, I love how you killed all those people in the Heisei series. Should I say, I love how you severed King Ghidorah's head. I love how you killed Destroyer somewhat. You know what I'm saying? But that was a great moment. Like I said, between the GMK story with my wife and Shusuke Kaneko and Kimpichiro Satsuma, those are the two memories that stick out to me the most. And I have one more involving Gio Komodo, but I get into that later on. So, but yeah, those are the moments that stick out the most to me.
I think this is a good time to actually mention that if you are joining us and watching us live, we are actually going to be including some of the footage that we shot at GFest this last year. So when Leslie mentions speaking to G Okamoto from X Plus, there's a reason for that. This is probably another great time to check in with the chat room. It's funny, right before you started talking about the hotel, Leslie, there was actually some chatter in the chat room about the hotel. Not the nicest things being said, but not anything super harsh. It's all totally accurate. Like, the hotel has some issues, and we all kind of hope that eventually those issues get resolved. It's just been several years. So first up, everybody in the chat room that I missed last time, I'm just going to say a blanket hello statement to. Thanks for being here. I see Gretchen in there, like literally right on my screen. Eric Glasgow is here. What's up, Beeples? There's Lolo is in the chat as well. We're getting some good traction here, guys. A lot of people want to hear about GFest. So I got a question for the chat room specifically. I know they're probably all talking amongst themselves, but when you get back to hearing what we're talking about, we have a question for you, which is, if you've been to GFest, what has been your favorite GFest purchase? So go ahead and pop that into the chat room. Just tell us what it was you bought, and we'll check in with some of our guys here. Like, I don't know what my favorite GFest purchase has ever been, but I know that essentially it gets smaller, and my haul gets smaller and smaller every year as I get more and more discerning. But I remember that very first time that I went back to GFest after not having gone for so long, I had a little money on me, and so I was able to spend quite a bit. Actually, one of my favorite purchases is probably getting the Kyoto Exebic. I don't know if that's how you say it, but the Daimajin action figures that they made that came with all the accessories. I got those for like $20 a piece at some dealer's table in the dealer's room. It was pretty great.
Goodbye.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Because we had some dropping and popping back in, I'm going to rearrange our setup and pass this directly to this direction and ask John, what are some of your favorite purchases that you've picked up?
Wow, thanks, Carl. There's so much to consider, but there's some that are more special to me than others. Carl, I may have given you some images. There's one, the first one. It was my first time back to GFest. I think this was might have been in 2016. And, the dealer's room is spectacular. You're not going to find another collection of Godzilla collectibles anywhere in North America like that, spread of all those great dealers. And I'm enamored with love cast figurines. They're hard to come by. I've managed to get a few that I really like. So every year at Hallmark Toys, where Kyle and John Bumpus I'm sorry, David and James and John Bumpus, they, would be at the table, and I know Clawmark always has some really great cast figurines, but this is the first year I would find that out. And this particular one, the Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla 1968 figurine, when I was like, wow, this is, it was just great to find. And when I came home, this was a photo. One of the photos I've done with it. So that was really special. One of the first major purchase I would have had at GFest. The other was from a couple of years ago now. It's the M1 Godzilla tricycle figure. I don't know if that's in there.
Yes, that is in there. Give me 1 second there, my man.
Yep, I can show it.
I got it right here.
Well, this is a favorite for so many collectors. I hadn't been able to acquire one, and I remember, I think it was just great that it was available, that I was able to get it at that wonderful table. So that's special. That was a blessing to have. The other was from the next favorite item from 2017 was the Yuji Kaida illustrated collection of works. Wonderful hardback, great for the shelf. His work has defined Godzilla, Gundam, Ultraman, so just Toho Kaiju for so many years. And to meet him there, he was there, I believe, with Ed Holland of Monster Attack Team, had arranged, I think, to make it possible for him to be there, and his table, and to have it autographed made it even more special. And lastly, last year, in Japan, it was a figure I was looking for and I was able to find, but it wasn't. But it was if it wasn't for David and the M1 table, I would not have been able to acquire it. It might be the next picture, Carl. Number 4 is the Shigeru figurine. Let me show this other one. Let me show the box.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Really cool. It's based on Shigeru Sugiura, his manga series, famous manga artist in Japan, and he has a popular manga at the time that the figure is based on, along with, these are the glowing versions that M1, I guess, reproduced. And so it was just wonderful to get this. Thank you, David, for making it happen. I would not have had it if it wasn't for you. So they have been some of my best and most memorable acquisitions at GFest. So, Leslie, what about yourself?
See, that's the thing. I buy so much for myself throughout the year. So by the time I get to GFest, even though there are a lot of figures there, and it like John just said, it's like the largest collection of figures that you can ever buy for Godzilla on the planet, all in one setting. So by the time I get to GFest, I pretty much stay up to date on the current releases. So by the time I get there, there's not really much there that I really do want, even though there are a couple of things that I do have an eye for. And another thing, I'm flying in, so I know I can't go overboard with the spending because I have no way to bring it back, and I don't want to trust the hotel to send it via mail and blah, blah, blah. But I have gotten a few things from the dealers room over the years. I did get my hands on the 30-centimeter Rick version of Mogera, the 1994 Mogera from Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. I got that in the dealer's room. I got the 25-centimeter final form of Hedra, the Rick version with the alternate limbs and the eye patch and the light up, But I have to say, my favorite purchase from GFest is actually this guy. It's actually the Monster Maker 28 kit of the 1974 Godzilla that I got from the Kaiju Modeler table. And actually, Sandra helped me get this because this was a kind of expensive piece, you know what I'm saying? But it's worth it because there's not too many 74s out there. X Plus, if you're watching, please get in on this guy. I know Phil the Kaiju King will agree with me on that. You know, we need a 74. I know even John would admit we need a 74. So yeah, this is like my favorite purchase. It's an awesome piece. It's an awesome rendition of the 74 Godzilla. But yeah, this was my first and it's my favorite. So but far as like any other pieces that I do get, once again, I stay on top of the current releases. And of course, me getting those free sketches, like I said, from Giuseppe, that's always awesome because he is a brilliant artist, you know what I'm saying, that just takes like, you know, a kaiju and kind of incorporates organic effects. Like he made the 64 Godzilla like a tree or something like that. He really is talented. So those are my most prized possessions coming out of G-Fest. So, well, I'll just kick it over to Christine. What about you?
So definitely my favorite item that I purchased was my first G-Fest, 2014. I had one thing that I had been dying to get, and it was hard to find it to buy online. And I thought for sure somebody at G-Fest would have it, and lo and behold, they did. Diana at Clownmark Toys had the ceramic sake decanter. Up here. This thing is amazing. I had been looking for it maybe like a year or two. I had read about it online, and it was only released in Japan. There was like 3,000 bottles produced, and it has a special shochu inside of it. So when I was going to buy one, there was empty ones that you could buy online because I can't ship alcohol overseas. So the only way to get it with the shochu still in it was you had to, like, somebody in Japan would have to buy it and fly with it back up thing. So pretty much the only place that I was able to think that I could get it was at G-Fest. And yeah, I got it from Diane at Clownmark Toys. She always has like incredible stuff on her table, and I was so excited. It was the first thing that I bought. I actually think technically I sort of bought it before the fest started because I was kind of like poking around in the dealers or meeting people for the first time. And I ran up to her. I think Brian actually is the one that told me she had one. I think he was working that year. And so I remember running up and I was like, please, like I want to buy one of these so bad. I think she had like 2 or 3 of them. And one of the reasons why I wanted to get it there also is because Kawakita-san, who was the special effects director for the 90s films, he was a guest that year. And he actually had helped to design and sculpt this bottle here. So I was able to have him sign it. Okay, I'm not gonna pick it up, but I had him sign it on the foot here, and that was David got this really great picture of me and Kawakita together. I think I might have sent it to you, Kyle.
Yes.
Maybe? And so that was definitely a priceless memory to me, because he was so excited when I brought it up because he recognized it, and it was great to see like the smile on his face. Yeah, there
so happy. That's such a good picture.
And it was so cute too because he like took the head off and he was like pretend to drink it. It was so adorable. So that really stands out to me as well. Besides making the special that it signed, because then Kawakita-san unfortunately passed away December later that year, 2014. So I was really grateful to have been able to meet him and get his autograph, especially on this. Something that he helped. One more thing that I got that I was really excited about, again from Diana Clownmark, this really sweet Hazawagumi Burning Godzilla. I had seen it at her table, and like I think I got this 2 years ago, maybe, I can't remember exactly when. And I think like one of you had said before, like your first G-Fest, you bring a lot of money, you spend a lot, and then eventually time to go, you kind of get more selective of what you're looking for. So I was on a Gumi kick that year, and I had been eyeing this at our tables. I think you guys were across, and I was like, okay, I didn't want to spend too much money, but I've been keeping an eye on it. And by the last day, nobody had bought it, so I went over and I grabbed it, and I'm so glad I did. I really like translucent. I'm like really into the bright Sabubi now. I love the translucents. I love the glitter. like super girly, I know, but like look at how cool this thing is. So that was really one of my favorites that I purchased with people as well. And I love Diane. She's just such a sweetheart, and I love going to her table. Linda too, awesome. She always has wonderful, wonderful items at her table. Those are my two favorites. What about you, David?
Well, let me first off say that I forgot to tell you guys how many times I've been to GFest after all that talking I did. I've been to 6 GFests, my first one being in 2014. And I referred to the lovely actress as Katsura, but we all know it's Tomoko Ai. So I just wanted to put it out there and say her real name for everybody, because I did forget because I got too excited and overwhelmed in my own memory. So happens to us sometimes. But so anyway, it's very difficult to choose a favorite collectible or purchase from GFest, but I have to go with my very first one. And this is the Marmit exclusive Marmit GFest exclusive Desu Goji. I got it from the one and only Mike Johnson, and it is an absolutely beautiful figure. It's actually the only Desu Goji that I have. Yeah, I figured, I can't top this one because of the memories that are attached to it. But this is definitely my number. Oh, there's Kyle's got one too. He's got a twin brother. This has got to be my number one top purchase of GFest. Couple honorable mentions are the one you can see it in Christine's collection, the Chibi Goji Lottery Marmit Kiryu Goji set. I actually just got the Godzilla. My friend Brian Matoshio actually won it, and he was kind enough to let me buy it from him. So that's an honorable mention, and I can't think right now, but I definitely love to go exploring, not like the big main flashy tables. I do like to go to the smaller tables where that's where you find the real treasures, like for me anyway. Like John said, the little cast / Iwakura figures, maybe hidden behind something larger or more flashy. I love going to Sean Lincolnback's Showcase Collectibles table, searching for vintage lobby cards. That's the kind of thing that I love, and I can still kind of fit in my collection. One of the honorable mentions is I got a pretty mint 1963 King Kong versus Godzilla lobby card, original lobby card from Sean, which is just hugely amazing, and I've wanted it for years and years, and it's hanging on my wall right now. It's just like a playground and a way to go around and explore. Just keep going back and forth. And the thing that a lot of people don't know, I probably should give this information away, is don't just go around once. Go around like first day, second day, third day, a couple times, because new things keep popping up. It's not all there on the first day. So keep looking and ask, because maybe they have what you're looking for behind it that they haven't actually put out yet. So it's again, I think we talked about this a little bit in episode 0. The items that I handpick or are gifts that I pick up that are associated with a specific memory are the most important to me and hold the most special places in my collection. I mean, it's great to buy things online. I mean, I do it all the time, but something that you don't know you necessarily want that you see and you're like, wow, that's so cool. And it doesn't have to be big or expensive, just something with a great memory that's attached to it. So that's it for me. So Kyle, I don't know what we got up going on next.
Well, I thought it would be a good idea to just revisit that chat room. I asked before we started this segment, like, what were some of the chat room's favorite things that they've purchased at GFest? Greg Betters said the GMK Deferreal. He had it signed by the director. Larry Latham mentioned the M1 Glow Giras figure. I'm assuming the Glow, because that was sort of the M1 exclusive last year. I think Tim... No, I think he hasn't been. Anyway, Eric said his favorite purchases were the first gigantic burning Godzilla from X Plus and a diecast Mazinger Z.
Nice.
Oh man, Carlito's Way asked me how much I've spent in the dealer's room, and I gotta say, like, I haven't really spent a ton of money in the dealer's room. I'm very jaded when it comes to purchasing Japanese toys because I know places to get them from Japan, like kind of directly. So I tend to stave off any toy hunger when I go to Japan and when I go to GFest, and I'd save it for Japan. But every time I go through the dealer's room, there's always something that's like, Kyle, come by me. I think with the exception of last year where I was in the dealer's room kind of all the time because of the Kaiju Cast table, previous years I've spent very little time in the dealer's room. Jeremy Chambers said the Godzilla 50th anniversary Angulus figure. John Parkinson mentioned a signed Cetus figure. Go Nev.
Nice. You have to, Kyle. You have to mention Michael C's favorite. He said he's telling you to tell us his favorite, and I can't see it on there. Say my favorite, Kyle.
I gotta scroll. A lot here.
So, Mike, what is it? Tell us again.
Don't tell me again because it's gonna be all the way down there. Say my favorite, Kyle. You saw it. Let's see. This is the problem with doing a live show and then trying to keep in touch with the chat room. Just gotta keep scrolling.
Well, it's always fun to see what's going on in the dealer's room. I think the last couple of years, actually, Mike C has had these great lotteries at or not necessarily auctions, but lotteries of some of his merchandise, and you can see this amazing crowd like form around the Vampire Robots table, and it's just pretty. It's an awesome thing to see because it's like, I guess Mike's doing his lottery now, because the room kind of just shifts, and if it were a boat, it would kind of be like. but it's just it's cool to see. There's always something going on, and Linda from Chibi Goji Toys usually has a pretty awesome things that she's auctioning off as well. So yeah.
Mike Tchaikovsky said his favorite haul is making more money than the scuffed up Bandai sellers, but he said Bandai. So
okay.
Anyway. There you go.
Well, there's that. Don't forget Artist Alley as well. I saw
totally, absolutely, yeah. Actually, I think I spent more time in Artist Alley my first couple of years at GFest than I did in the dealer's room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
And Artist Alley is one of those things at GFest that just continually grows and grows. And I mean, it's in fact, it's so busy now that room is like
way too
a sauna. It's like hot in that room.
Yeah. It is, and definitely save some money from the upstairs, because you're going to want to go downstairs and buy a couple of those awesome pieces of art from the incredible people that are down there. John Bellotti Jr., Matt Frank, Giuseppe, as we mentioned before,
Nick Shev. Got to mention Nick
Shev.
Just some incredible art, and it kind of blows you away to see how awesome that stuff is.
Talented people.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So I think this is probably a good time for us to move along and talk about the next item. Like, we're basically, there was a gallery room at GFest this last year for the Peekaboo Gallery, which is an auction house. And this last year in 2019, they held oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called. But basically it was a crazy huge collection of kaiju stuff that they sold online. Did any of you guys bid on any of the Peekaboo stuff later on in the year?
No,
I did not.
I did not either.
I didn't.
But I do know my friend John Bumpus actually did bid on the Godzilla 54 head that came with the DVD set. I think it was sold separately from the DVD set. I'm not sure whether that came with it, but anyway, he did get it, and he got it for a great deal, and he loves it, and it's displayed in his collection right now. So that's one person I know that actually went ahead and bid on something.
Nice. Gretchen reminded me that it was called Vinyl Conflict. So I totally have a poster for that. Tom Whalen, who's an amazing Mondo poster artist, who also did the Mondo poster style artwork of the Kaiju Cast 10th anniversary poster. He did the poster and the book cover artwork for the Peekaboo Gallery's Vinyl Conflict. Really cool stuff. And if you're not aware, I should post a link in the show notes. The Peekaboo Gallery still has some of these really nice books that they made up, and they've just put them slash the price on those things. So check them out. I think it's about $40 a piece. Did anybody here get the book?
I did get the book, and it was about $45 at GFest too. So, and then it was more if you bought it online, but I think now it's $45 if you buy it with the slash price. And it's a great reference. I mean, it's a really good reference. And yeah, that's some of the vintage pieces that were available for the auction that were just pretty cool to see all in one place. And the boxes are in great condition, which is what impressed me most, I think.
It was like a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it was funny because it was like kind of a small area of the convention, but it was really nice because, you know, we were debuting our sort of interview stuff, you know, in terms of us being at GFest as a collective Collect All Monsters group. And the 2019 was such a huge year for toys. I mentioned it a lot during the convention, but basically, in addition to us doing our cool thing, we had M1 there. We had X Plus representatives there, CCP representatives there, Y-MSF was there. Not to mention the exclusives that happened, the Peekaboo Gallery. It was just a very toy-heavy lean in 2019, wouldn't you guys say?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it was great. And the gallery itself, the Peekaboo Gallery, was curated really, really well. It was small, but it was beautifully curated, and I was really impressed going in there and checking that out.
It's great to have more of the toy companies more and more to GFest, like you said, like X Plus and M1. That's huge.
That is huge. In fact, this sounds like the. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I was excited to have CCP there for the first time, so I hope they come back.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I missed Naoki Endo from CCP. I missed his panel presentation, but I heard really good things about it. I'm trying to see if we can maybe finagle that video from that room into our channel so we could actually show that on the Collect All Monsters channel. But I'm sure eventually it will get online. Leslie Chambers, I think this might be the perfect opportunity for you to introduce your interview that you did at GFest.
Oh, yeah. I had the honor and the privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to interview one guy with two people, actually, I've been wanting to talk to for a long time. Of course, you already know I'm huge in the X Plus, and they made these awesome figures of our favorite kaiju. And of course, the guy that pretty much decides what monsters they're going to pick to make, G. Okamoto and Kazuma Matsubura was there at GFest. And let me just say, that was another great favorite memory of mine, to finally meet these guys. I've been hearing from a lot of folks that have met them before, like Kyle, like Richard Iso, like David, that this guy, G, I'm talking about, is a very fun, jovial, carefree, highly appreciative guy. And to finally meet him for the first time was really, really awesome. And once again, he's another guy that I was starstruck to meet. He's kind of like my hero, because ever since I've gotten into X Plus, I've been a devoted fan, customer, whatever. And to finally meet the guy that's responsible for my collection being what it is was such a huge honor. And we had a few things. I had a few questions I wanted to ask him, and he did have some interesting answers for me. So please check out this awesome interview that I did with G. Okamoto and Kazuma Matsubura from the awesome company known as X Plus. Go for it.
Action. What's going on, people? Leslie P. Chambers on behalf of Collect All Monsters. First and foremost, let me just say this is an honor to be a part of this endeavor, and might as well kick it off with a bang. I have my first interview here with the one and the only awesome guy from X Plus, Mr. G. Okamoto-san. What's going on? How you doing, sir?
I'm Okamoto. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just want to just ask you just a few questions. Don't want to take too much of your time. Just want to ask you a few questions, if I may, please. First and foremost, I gotta ask this: what is your favorite kaiju film, Godzilla film?
Godzilla film.
Yes.
My favorite.
Yes.
All Godzilla I love. But if I must choose, well, one title, King Kong versus Godzilla.
You heard it here first. First, folks, his favorite kaiju film, Godzilla film. Of course, he loves Godzilla, obviously, but his favorite is King Kong versus Godzilla. That's awesome. My next question is, with your grand plan with the Destroy All Monsters setup, are there any plans to release figures from Final Wars?
Yeah.
Like that? All monsters from Final Wars?
Destroy all monsters. The monster each release maybe 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. So now Final Wars only Godzilla and Monster X, Kaiser Ghidorah only.
And Gigan.
No, yes, Gigan. So far away. But of course, I have a plan.
Okay, all right. Any plans or interest in releasing other flying kaiju like Megaguirus, Hydra, Gamera Shoradon, or Batra?
Yeah. Flying type?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Now we have many requests airplane type.
Okay.
So one by one.
Okay. Let me just say your flying King Ghidorah 68.
Yes.
I got that. Awesome. Thank you. Arigato. Thank you. That's awesome.
I'm glad.
Any plans in releasing other gigantic Sentai robotic figures like what you did with Diusion Megazord?
Come on, Mr. Masuba, come on. This project he.
Masaburo-san from X Plus, welcome.
Konnichiwa.
So, any Sentai robotic kaiju, like I said, Diusion or Megazord? Okay.
I really like to make, but we have some issue.
Yes.
Yes. Please wait a long time.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it won't be too long. Like, I would love to see like a Dragon Caesar or Dragon Zord.
Yes, I love it.
Getting a license is very difficult.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. Any plans or interest in releasing other humanoid gigantics like Ultraman or Ultra 7, like Sanda, Gyra, or Daimajin? Any plans or any interest in that?
Yes, of course. I want to make a Frankenstein, Gargantis, and Daimajin, of course. But now, please wait.
Yes. Next question is, what is your favorite line of figures that you produce? Gigantic, Sakai, favorite sculptors line?
I like
Okay.
Atragon and Manda. Let's see model.
Okay. All right.
I like.
All right.
Of course, the Sakai-san series very great.
Right.
Atragon very development very difficult. So
Okay. How does it feel making it here to GFest?
very exciting. Many people come. And I'm so glad, excited. And so next year I want to come.
You heard it again, folks. He wants to come back to GFest, and hopefully, yes, I want to see that happen. Yes, I want that to happen. I've been saying personally that we need you to come to GFest. So this has been a personal dream come true for me. And on behalf of myself and my fellow Collect All Monsters members, Kyle, Christine, David, and John, and of course Jeremy, and all the great people that have come up and saw you, whatever, on behalf of them, I got to thank you so much for being here.
Me
We
too,
really
me
appreciate
too,
it.
me too. Many friends.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and we obviously expect big things from S Plus. Obviously, they can't talk about what they have planned, but according to what they've been saying thus far, we're in for a big treat as S Plus collectors. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There you go, man.
Nicely done.
Great interview, Leslie.
Thank you very much. I also want to give a huge shout out to Jeremy Souls, who was also very instrumental in G and Monster Brewer-san coming over here. Yeah, they were a blast, and I hope we have not seen the last of those awesome fine gentlemen at GFest. It was really a fun time talking with those guys. It was awesome.
I mean, it's only right that G-san comes back because it is called GFest. It's kind of a no-brainer to think about it, right? I mean, if they had a David Dopko Fest, I'd sure as hell be there. Right? Oh God, that's terrifying. Anyway, never mind.
Let's keep the interview train rolling. And David, you were able to speak with another collector at GFest, a very special lady.
A very special lady, and I wouldn't necessarily call it an interview. I just call it a little intimate chat and a brief introduction to a wonderful lady who's been in the collecting game and the toy dealing game since 1996, making monster dreams come true. And of course, we're talking about Ms. Diane Dougherty from Clawmark Toys. So roll it, as they say.
Yes, I shall roll it right now.
Well, hey, it's the very last moments of GFest 2019, and I'm here with the premier woman of kaiju collecting, Ms. Diane Dougherty. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes.
And I'm happy that the 21st, my 21st GFest is coming to an end.
That was my next question. You anticipated my next and my first question.
Well, you know how it is with us. We are simpatico.
So can you talk a little bit about your how you began this with your husband, your late husband, Tom?
Well, I was very lucky to be living in Japan in 1996, and my husband Tom and I discovered that we both loved Godzilla from when we were children.
That's awesome.
So we went off in our car in the countryside of Japan hunting for Godzilla.
That's cool.
And we just, and what we did, is our name, Clawmark Toys, has to do with the fact that in the beginning, we would find, say, a Ghidorah, Bandai Ghidorah. And we'd say, okay, this is part of our collection. But then we'd find another Bandai Ghidorah, and we'd say, ooh, okay, this one seems to be in better condition.
You upgraded.
So we upgraded.
Excellent. Yes, I've definitely done the upgrade scenario in my collecting journey as well.
Yes.
So, where was the first GFest? Do you remember where the first one was?
Yes, Burbank. Well, what I went to.
Burbank, California. And of course, this was your 21st, you said?
I believe so.
21st. That's pretty incredible. Clawmark Toys is very well known in the toy collecting community. I remember that I met you and your husband Tom at Godzilla's 50th anniversary at the Castro Theater in San Francisco. What a wonderful experience. And I just want to open the floor up to you and just say anything you want about your toy selling and collecting journey.
Oh my goodness. It has been so amazing. I'm going to tell a quick little story.
Sure, love that.
Millennium Gojira. And Tom and I were on a quest to collect as many theater posters for the Millennium Godzilla movie. And we were in this little tiny town. And Tom asked around in his broken Japanese if there was a movie theater in the little tiny town. Well, as usual, the Japanese were so kind, and they took us on a trek, okay? Because Tom and the man said, "I'll take you there." Well, it was about a mile away, and we're walking.
Wow, wow.
And we got there, right, and they were showing Godzilla. Now remember, this is a little tiny town, but they were showing it only that night, and the other shows that they were showing were the Pinku adult film.
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh my.
And so there are all these posters for, with basically nude ladies. And I'm standing outside the theater by these posters with the nude ladies, waiting for Tom while he goes into the theater to see if he can get a Millennium poster. And it was one of the most interesting experiences I've had, because I'm standing there like, oh God, I hope they understand I'm not here for the Pinku films. We got one poster after all that trek.
I absolutely love that story, and I really appreciate you taking a few moments to chat with me. And I know, and I absolutely know that we're going to do it again in the near future. So can I have your commitment to continue this at a later date for our Collect All Monsters monthly live stream?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you so much, Miss Diane Dougherty, and we'll be talking again real soon. Okay, sayonara.
Sayonara.
Bye-bye.
Kalamark.
Yeah. It's definitely sad because that was the last day of GFest and they're packing up everything behind us. So that's a little bit distracting, but it was a great little story. And I love that she was willing to share that with us. And we do have her commitment that she's going to expand on that interview in the near future. So Kyle, I think we did it backwards. I have a couple of images of Diane that we could just show real quick if you want to.
Yes.
Some memories that we have of Diane Dougherty and Clawmark Toys at GFest over the years. There they are. It's Ji-san, Yuji, and Diane in the center, of course. There's Diane in some really cool little outfit that can't see what that is on the side.
It's crazy. It's like Godzilla is sewn onto the side of her happy coat, and it's like one of the Japanese style thick happy coats that's supposed to keep you warm.
It almost looks like a Ninja Turtle from here, but it is definitely Godzilla. But yeah,
those are probably not called happy coats, for the record. I just don't know what their name is.
Me neither. There's the two ladies of toy collecting and toy selling. That, of course, is Linda Conrad and Diane. Great photo of the two of them. Just a little portrait of Diane I did. And there's Diane with her dear friend James, and those guys are just real good buddies. I love that shot.
There you go, man. Oh, yes.
I love that shot too. Sonoe Nakajima and Diane posed for a little quick photo for me. I love that one. That's of course Akira Takarada and Diane sharing a nice quiet moment.
Oh man, those were nice. Those were lovely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that just is the kind of thing that you guys will see at GFest, just like celebrities and people that we've known and seen on the screen since we were children, just kind of strolling around, walking around with us, and patting you on the back and giving you a handshake or a hug, and it's just a really great experience. And it's just like summed up in those photos that we just showed. But yeah.
All right, so this is probably the best time for me to use the Diane interview as a segue and say that when we did our panel, our Collect All Monsters panel, we actually spoke with Yuji and Michi Nishimura from M1 Toys, and Diane actually had something to say beforehand, and it didn't get into this interview, so I thought I'd make sure it actually got into the episode. So she knows that some folks probably are aware that Yuji and Michi were affected by the tsunami in 2011, and their resilience in continuing to make toys and just their ganbate, their we can do it spirit, has really helped them do so well. And Diane is just really impressed with how well they've been doing, and she's very proud of them. And with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and play the panel heavily edited, I should say. Okay, so basically our panel was it was an hour long in total, and the video content ended up being about 40 minutes. You're not going to watch that right now, but come back to the Collect All Monsters channel later this month and check out the full, pretty much interview with Yuji and Michi. This, however, is just a quick 6-minute version of the interview that we did. Oh no, that's not right at all. I'm glad I didn't actually share that screen. That would have been very embarrassing for me. Here you go. Sitting to my left, we have Yuji and Michi Nishimura. They run M1 Toys. Who here has M1 Toys in their collection?
Favorite Sofubi?
なんでここにない？
Oh,
we got one.
We got one M1 up here.
Christine, you're fired.
So these two lovely people have been coming to GFest for 3 years now. I think this is their 3rd time here. And before they showed up, all you had was the dealers who had their own M1 figures they were getting rid of. And it's really wonderful to be able to deal directly with the manufacturer, with the vendor here at GFest. So please join me in saying thank you with some applause for these guys. Yuji, how did you actually decide to start M1 Toys? What was it that made you say, I want to make a toy company?
で、そもそもそれまでにずっとその丸さん、いうの丸さん、ボーマーク、
Marsan and Bullmark,
ソフビー、トイをコレクションしてた。
He has been collecting the Marsan toys and soft vinyl and Bullmark and those things for a long time.
それでその例えばウルトラ Q ゴジラとかを丸サンプルマーク並べてみるとディスプレイするとその当時丸サンプルマークで作られなかった怪獣たちがいくつかある。
And he displayed what he had in front of him. He displayed those figures that he had, and he found out something that he didn't have it at the time. He couldn't find something that from Bullmark. He couldn't find something from Marsan. Why? Because they didn't make it.
じゃあその丸サンプルマークと同じテイストでソフビでうちがその丸サンプルマークで出てないところを補充しよう。
So he thought, let's make the new one that like a Marsan Bullmark type because they didn't make it. So he wanted to make it. That's the beginning of the figures that he made it.
Okay. So you have recently released some new Godzilla figures, brand new sculpts of Godzilla from 1954 and 1955. Would you just sort of take us through the process of what has to happen in order to create a vinyl figure? I mean, obviously someone has to design it first, and then it has to be sculpted.
そもそもコンセプト元になるベースは丸サンプルマークのスタンダードフィギュアサイズ。
He always thinks the concept is a Marsan Bullmark type, standard size, always.
しかしその丸サンプルマークでも、ディフォルメが強いのと、ちょっとリアルなものがある。
But he felt like a Marsan Bullmark, but he felt some of them are really real type, and some of them are really deformed type. He felt like that.
Like true stylized, right? Yeah.
ちょっとリアルなやつはブルマークだとメガロとかメガゴジラ
and Mega Godzilla, a real type. He feels.
Okay.
だからその方向性とあとその丸サンプルマークのディフォルメの2つで今作ってる。
So he is now making figures these two ways, for two ways. The real type and deformed type.
Oh, okay. So the new Godzillas are real type, right? They're very realistic in terms of their sculpture.
まず似てて似てて
First look like
あと
exactly
手に持った時に痛くなくて
when he has it, doesn't hurt. It's easy to handle it.
So it's got to have like the sort of soft edges, not rough and bumpy.
柔らかいっていうか、まあ、子供が遊んでも痛くない
Doesn't get hurt. Even child has it, it's safe.
Safe for kids, okay.
それでまあ原型師にこういう感じでっていうのをお願いしてで一応原型ができてきたらばそれを直しが入る
And he asked the sculptor to make like that. And then when he finished sculpting, he always checks. And then he asks once again to make it really nicer.
Make it better.
Right.
Yeah.
ちょっと時間は
So it takes time.
Yeah. Yuji has very high standards in vinyl business, right? High
Yes,
standards.
Yes.
Yes. It's okay. You can agree with it. Okay, so we don't need to go into all of this, but basically, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. What happened next is Yuji brought a video, and in that video, it showed some cool stuff from Wonder Festival, Winter Wonder Festival, and Summer Wonder Festival, are two huge shows that happen in Japan or Tokyo every year. And then after that, the video showed us part of his collection. Definitely a super cool time talking with Yuji and being able to see not just his influence, or sorry, not just his collection, but see his influence on the toy community at Wonder Festival was pretty awesome. I love M1. I feel very lucky to have not just been able to interview M1, but meet M1, meet Yuji and Michi in person. And, you know, that wouldn't have happened. At least it wouldn't have happened for a little while if it hadn't been for David and I at Monster Palooza hanging out outside. And then there was this Japanese dude smoking.
Oh no! That's
right? Yeah.
Oh my
god!
God!
And then basically, but essentially, David had the M1 Nakajima figure with him, and so that is what started off the conversation where we all started talking. And I feel very, very lucky that that I'm connected with those guys, and I hope that as we go forward in the future with this show, we're going to see more participation from M1 and some of these other toy manufacturers that were at GFest. You guys love M1 toys, right?
Oh my God, totally. 100%. 100%.
I mean, especially the Sofubi style toy guys in the room like that stuff.
They're fun. They're fun and they're colorful. They're just love them.
Absolutely. So let's see, where are we at here in our little stuff that we're doing? I think this is probably a good time for me to play the final episode, or not the final episode, but the final interview. One of the things we've talked about in this episode is how many toy dealers are at GFest. And I mentioned earlier that Y-MSF, another toy dealer, not just the Japanese Y-MSF, but also the American side of the business. Those guys were at GFest and had a table in the dealer's room. So I thought we'd play a little short interview with Tony and Fumiaki.
Cool.
No problem. I'm standing here with the guys behind Y-MSF USA and Japan, and these guys have been producing toys recently, and I thought I would ask a little bit about the newer stuff that Y-MSF has been creating, both for USA and for the Japanese market. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with the company these days?
Yeah, I had secured the license for GFans here at GFest, and I tried to do something independent of my friends here in Japan. and made the early, those early samples of the figures on the table in Mexico, and this figure right here.
Oh, this one, yeah.
And it looks nice, but from a professional standpoint and everything, any professional will look at that's like, this is not garbage, but it's good for a sample, or for something to paint up, or for display or something, or prototype pictures or something. That is not good enough for retail. Especially this one. This is actually a pretty bad sample. This one actually wasn't for sale.
Yeah.
The legs kind of warped there, but we have some that are good. But yeah, too many air holes, and the wrists are too a lot of the arms are stretched out.
A lot of production issues with it.
Yeah, so we sold a few that were pretty good last year, but we did a black and gray version, so we didn't have to paint them up. That would save a lot of time, and then we were hoping to use those proceeds to help fund the fully painted figure. But that company was out of Mexico, and they were based out. Well, the owner was based out of Pasadena, California. Yeah. After that, I said, hey, I don't want to do things independent anymore. We'll do that. So that's when we prototyped the new figure. Can I pick up? Yeah, that's fine. This is a copy. Yeah, it's not the actual prototype.
I can feel how heavy it is.
But it is still resin. So they decided, we want to set ourselves apart from that one made in Mexico. So completely different design, completely different size, completely different figure of the same character, which we've seen many times in vinyl.
Yeah.
So that's how that started out. So
they're like happy with this and like.
There were a lot of people that like this design, and I there's parts of this design I really like, and this one. But I think when people see this in person, it looks a lot better than it does in 2 dimensions. So sorry you guys aren't here to see it in person, but I think a lot of people are much more impressed than what they see in the photos. So that's how that all started out. So that's why we're doing that. And then he decided to make a keychain for the show.
Little G-Fantas keychain for the show.
This is a loss leader. We're not making any money on that. So it's just kind of like for promotion, and very last minute. He painted them up in Japan. They were made, I think, made in China. Made in Japan. Okay. And then he painted it up maybe a few days ago.
Oh, right on.
Right before he flew in. So very, very, very last minute.
Super cool.
And then the next figure we're going to do for Y-MSF USA is probably this Cthulhu here.
Wow.
That wasn't even my idea. That was actually Kawakami's idea, because he got a lot of feedback through his Japanese social media, and since that's in the pretty sure it's in the public domain, because other people have done figures of that. That we wouldn't have it. And it seems to be really popular. In fact, it's gotten a lot more feedback than G-Fantas by far.
Oh, okay.
So we'll probably do a Kickstarter maybe January, February of Then we have permission to use the likeness of the Kaiju werewolf. We can't call it what it usually called for trademark reasons.
Of course, right.
So
the Kaiju werewolf.
So that's what we're going to be calling it. Maybe if we have another name in the future, we'll call it something else. But probably not Kickstarter. We're aiming to get that maybe for GFest next year.
Oh,
because
great.
the character is most popular here, because that's where like the fan film, the things a few years ago. They did the posters and everything a few years ago.
Totally.
So that's where we might want to at least debut it. Yeah, you can pick it up. This is a pretty rough prototype. It was so rough that we couldn't. You had to put tack on there, but it's not going to look like, they're not going to have the gaps. It'll all be pretty tight and everything. There's actually really good photos of another prototype he painted up, but that went to a factory in Mexico to see if we could get it made in Mexico for cheaper, but that didn't work out. So we're still on friendly terms with that manufacturer, but we haven't received the prototype back. And another popular one was the Behemoth here. This is not licensed yet, so it's just kind of proof of concept.
Gotcha.
That's why it says license pending, stuff like that, and we'll let everybody know whether we're successful with that or not. But we just wanted, for legal purposes, we needed to at least state that this is not.
It looks super cool.
Yeah, at least it's something we're not going to make. But yes, it's not, the character is not owned by Toho. It's apparently owned by Legendary or their parent company.
How is the Japanese side of things going?
In Japan, they released a kit version of this at Wonder Festival.
Yeah.
This is the assembled kit version. It comes with a different head and a different tail. I think he's looking for those right now.
Gotcha.
But we don't have to show those right now. It's actually quite good. It's
gorgeous.
Yeah, quite happy. That's their figure made in China. The first one was the Sakura Kong. The second one were Gory and Karis from Spectre-Man.
Nice.
And those are a little bit thin vinyl, so it's like, hey, can we get something with a little bit thicker vinyl? And this is significantly different. You can't even tell it's the same manufacturer.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. And yeah, these were sold at the recent Wonderfest a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And he did about 20 sets, and they sold out in like 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And in fact, somebody, this is a funny story. Somebody assembled and painted it, put it on Yahoo Japan, a Japanese customer, and I met the guy that purchased it, at least one of them off Yahoo Japan, for 18,000 yen, which is about $165 US. So yeah, it's kind of weird how everything's in a circle. Yeah, we're gonna order these eventually built and painted. So yeah, they did these for Wonder Festival too.
Oh, whoa, those
kind of
are
like
cute.
An homage to
rubber ducky kind of thing.
those balls from the 80s. I don't
Matte
want
balls.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, a rubber ducky.
Yeah, and it's bathtub headroom.
Bathtub headroom.
Yeah, both those get
Aye, aye.
licensed from Toho.
Yeah, so these are licensed for the show.
Wow, very cool. Super cool.
So those are my
these were
personal
from-
ones I actually had to buy from him because yeah, we can't sell them here.
Very
So.
popular in Japanese market. I sold each 100 pieces, just 10 minutes.
Wow, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of customers from Taiwan and Japan.
Yeah,
so
super cool. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing with us all of the cool Y-MSF stuff. And put that back for you if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, there you go. I have one of those guys. I love those little matte ball Hedras. They're super cute.
Oh, they're so cute.
It was really nice to talk to those guys. I'll be honest, like I have not been a fan of a lot of the older YMS stuff, Y-MSF stuff. I have a couple of pieces in my collection, but some of the newer things that they're doing, like the Mad Ball and the Ducky, and even they've got some new kind of like chibi versions of Godzilla and other monsters they've been doing recently, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they end up doing in the coming months and the coming years.
Definitely.
So we kind of like shuffled some stuff around, which is, you know, how it's going to happen every once in a while. So I'm posing the question to Christine, is this where you want to talk about your exclusives? Because you're not doing your remote segment now. You're actually with us.
I'm with you guys. I'll go with some of them. So usually every year at GFest, there's like an exclusive figure or an exclusive set that's sold only at the show. So I brought a couple with me to show you guys. So the first set that I got was the Tokyo SOS set that Linda at Chibi Goji Toys, she did a lottery for. So this was in 2017. I think there was 17 of these produced, and it was lottery drawing. So you fill out a ticket and enter the drawing. And one of the last days of the festival, they pulled names, and I was one of the ones that got called. So I got the opportunity to purchase this beautiful Marmit set. So we've got Kiryu, which is my favorite Mechagodzilla. I like the design of him, and the 2003 Godzilla. And one really cool thing about these, besides being translucent and blue, is they have like jewels on them. So Godzilla's tongue here, he's got some his tongue's like these pink jewels, and Kiryu's got some blue jewels on his chest and his arms, which I thought that was a really neat little touch. Linda also made this adorable like goodie bag that came with the figures. So there was like candy, gum, a little collector's card and stuff. Really, really cute. They always have. I think the year before that is when she had the Orga and the 2000 set, which was also very beautiful. And I also brought the 2018 GFest exclusive. So that's when we had Satsuma and Megumi. So the exclusives we had was this gorgeous glow-in-the-dark Marmit Desugoji. Mike Johnson was selling these at his table. And we had a Rose Violante. I was super excited for this one because I'm a huge fan of Violante, and I love Rose Violante. She's one of my favorites. I don't think she gets enough love, but it was great to have finally like a new colorway of her. and it glows in the dark. And it was also super special that we both had Megumi and Satsuma there, so I was able to get this signed by Satsuma-san, and Megumi signed. Oh, we're upside down. Violante for me. So yeah, definitely every year there's always something. I know one year there was a King Kong and Godzilla 62 set that was really great. That's one of the fun things about GFest is to see. Usually Mike Johnson sometimes, or Linda, or whoever's having the exclusive that year will, a few weeks before the show, will give you like a little preview, kind of teasy to see what's coming up. So I remember when Mike was teasing this one, I was like, oh my God, it's finally, we're getting a Rose Violante. So I was super excited about that. And this was I think my second Desu figure I had bought. The first one, I want to say I bought 2015 GFest. They had a couple of exclusives there. They had a really beautiful blue one that I know Brian bought, and like a darker colored one, almost like this. It wasn't glowy though. That I picked up from there as well. So definitely, the exclusives are a really big draw to GFest, and very excited to be able to purchase some of them.
Yeah, I've only picked up a few exclusives. I also was able to pick up this beautiful lady as well. And Christine, I'm sure you know that the price tag on the Marmit Rose Violante figures was so astronomical that when they announced this, I was like, well, even if I don't like it, I'm buying it, but I love it.
Yeah. Like Mike always has some good, and I think I can't pick like which one is my favorite, because like I do really love the Rose Violante, but like the stuff that Linda had, oh my gosh, like it's just so beautiful, and they like glow. It's really hard to pick, but there's been a few years that I've passed, but I really wanted to win that 2000 set that Linda had a couple years ago.
Oh man, me too. That was so great.
That was really good. With the pink and the blue. Oh.
So what's cool, what Linda does, or she did at least the year where she offered the blue set, is she sent images, little snippets of parts of the figure, so we could all try to guess what is coming or what it's going to be. And I actually pride myself in guessing correctly. It clearly didn't affect me winning the lottery, because I certainly didn't. Brian was the one that was kind enough to let me buy his winning lottery ticket. But it's fun to kind of try to figure out what it is when you see it in little segments and sections. But I just love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, so if you guys watch her Instagram, I don't know if we can like link it later, but she usually will have like little snippets on there. I was able to guess the 2001, but I couldn't figure out what this one was until the end, but so glad I got it.
All right. Well, I think this is probably the best time for us to move on to our last and final, I believe, segment of this episode, which is our hashtag, I don't know, challenge. What do you want to call that? Our monster showcase. Yeah.
We really still haven't come up with the exact perfect phrase or word for this segment, but it is one of our favorite segments. It's the segment where you, the viewers, send us photos and images of what we're talking about in each episode. And this particular one is GFest Rewind. And there was a little bit of confusion, but ultimately we figured it out together. And it is your favorite GFest collectible that you acquired from your visits to GFest over the years. So without further ado, here's what you sent us.
Hey, and that's our next hashtag for this next month. We're going to do Kaiju Ichiban. Dave, you want to tell them why we're asking people to send Kaiju Ichiban as a hashtag with their photos?
Absolutely. So Ichiban means number one. So we'd like you to send us a photo of your very first Kaiju, Godzilla, Ultraman collectible. It can be anything. Autograph, poster, toy, model, book, anything. Your very first one that started you on your collecting journey. So thank you so much for everyone who sent in an image. Sorry we couldn't use every single one. We had to limit it because we did get quite a few submissions towards the end. So we're going to try to limit it to one photo per person, just so we can make sure we fit everybody in there. But we'll get more details about those exact things in a bit. So just keep watching actually just keep checking our Instagram and our Facebook page. So again, thank you so much. It's great fun, and we loved all your photos.
Well, I think this is our perfect opportunity to wrap up this second, or actually our first technical real episode of Collect All Monsters. I would first like to thank John, Leslie, David, and Christine for being here with me to talk about this amazing convention. If you are not familiar, if you've not been to GFest, you might want to know that GFest will stomp back into Chicago, Illinois, or technically Rosemont, Illinois, on July 10th through the 12th. And if you want more information, you can follow the link in the show notes that we have attached to this video, which will get filled out like maybe later tonight. But yeah, I mean, who from our group, who all is going to GFest this year? Hands up.
I'm definitely going, and I'm gonna be poking the bear, and a lot of folks saying this guy is gonna be winning come November. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be out there campaigning for Kong to whoop that ass come November. So yeah,
not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. That 3-second clip you saw Kong punching the crap out of Godzilla. Oh yeah, it's going down. He's winning. He's gonna win.
So everybody beware, because I can picture Leslie Chambers coming up on people at GFest saying, "Who's going to win, Kong or Godzilla?" 2 seconds, answer it right then and there. And then that's actually a good thing. You should probably do that. And then you can share that with the rest of us here.
You can make a supercut, dude.
Yeah. Just randomly go up to people, which I know you're going to do anyway.
Absolutely.
And that would be pretty fun to check out, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be fun poking the bear, like I said, and getting fans' reactions. I'm sure some folks really take it seriously. Like, no, you at GFest, you're supposed to worship Godzilla. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's all out of fun. That's what GFest is, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about going there, having fun. So if you see me doing that, don't take it so personal. Like the Joker said in The Dark Knight, why so serious? So don't take it too personal. But yeah, Kong is going to win. He really is going to win. He's going to, yeah, he's going to.
Nope.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. First up, thank you to everybody who watched live. You guys are amazing, especially those in the chat room, taking advantage of the ability to check in with your fellow guests, your fellow watchers, and hopefully us as well. And if you are unaware, once again, our hashtag for this next episode will be Kaiju Ichiban. We'll have that also listed in the show notes as well. And I think basically I should probably, cause I didn't do credits. I was working on video footage for this episode right up until when we went live pretty much. So I didn't do any end credits, but I wanted to thank a few extra people. I want to thank Andrew Hall and Nick Sides for their help in capturing the video from the Collect All Monsters panel.
Absolutely.
I'd also like to thank Diane Doherty from Clawmark Toys, Tony Preto from Y-MSF USA, Fumiaki from Y-MSF Japan, G and Matsubara from X Plus, and of course, Yuji and Michi Nishimura from M1. Now, to wrap this entire thing up with some loud yelling, our planet may be doomed, our Earth devastated, the monsters are in revolt, and civilization is in chaos. We must unite and collect our monsters! Yeah, I'm gonna do that like every time. I think.
I like that.
I like that too.
So I guess this was like the Phantom Menace, episode 1, right? I hope not.
Oh, why did you end it with that?
Misa saying goodbye.